What is the release strategy with Prince of Persia? Really, does anyone out there know? 2008 saw a reboot of the franchise where accessibility seemed to be what they were aiming for. It was a game where you could literally not die, and as long as you kept jumping in the intended direction, you'd eventually ninja your way to the end. It was pretty damn easy, and that actually did hurt the game because it was not a challenge at all. Now, earlier this year, we saw another storyline reboot with the cinematic feature that no one really cared about, despite it being pushed so heavily as something you should care about, and now we have this. The Forgotten Sands, which is the fourth major title of the previous Prince of Persia line, taking place between the first and second games. This game aims to fill in a few storyline plot holes and entices us to indulge ourselves in hopefully learning just what it is that went down that got these Sands of Time prince listening to that Godsmack generic rock. Didn't they play one of those terrible Godsmack songs in the advertisements for that second game? Or am I just hallucinating that? 2008's Prince of Persia wasn't good, but it made some attempts at least being personable. Nolan North delivered a great performance with his random banter with the chick who'd save your life whenever you decided to fall off of a cliff, and there was a decent range of scenery. Somewhat. In this game, though, I did not even begin to care about anyone. Some of the cinematic sequences are well directed, but I really just couldn't manage to give a crap at all about what was going on. There was no great introduction, and there was nothing that really sold me on these characters ever during the game. The Forgotten Sands is a pain in the ass. Just in the first couple of seconds of seeing this game, where the camera sweeps across some scenery, I felt like I had already played and beaten this game, all before I even gained control for the very first time. Alright, here we go again. Everything still feels exactly the same. Bland and boring as usual. This game feels like each and every jumping-based game from Ubisoft Montreal, and not just the previous Prince of Persia games. Every swing off of a pole will launch you a certain particular distance. Every wall run will stop you at exactly the same point, each and every time. Each and every time you do a wall run, when you slow down and hang there for half a second, you will always have to do a wall jump at that particular moment. Everything feels extremely limited, and that you deal with the same scenarios in the exact same way, endlessly. Unlike a recent platforming great, such as Super Mario Galaxy, nothing at all is left open to interpretation when reaching a new jumping puzzle. You always know what action to make based on what the next obstacle is. Playing this game feels more like a gigantic QuickTime event sequence than even Heavy Rain sometimes. It is unbelievably predictable, which leads it to being very dull. There's a combat system tacked on here. Palm mash the face buttons to win. That's all you really need to do. There is no precision necessary. There are some upgrades and an experience system, but that's barely worth mentioning. The Forgotten Sands isn't a game that jumps out and strikes you as bad because it is cinematic and the controls do work. The problem is that the game is boring as hell because you barely wander off of a trail that was never really that exciting in the first place, that has been done countless times. Innovations like freezing the water so that you can climb spouts like poles seem more like a bullet point that I'm supposed to mention rather than an actual feature that I want to mention that enhances the game. There are a few things like this where I feel like I should be mentioning some sort of gameplay feature in fear of someone calling me out for not talking about it, but none of it actually amounts to much. It's something you need to deal with in order to play through the game, but none of it is that exciting. The Forgotten Sands is just a dull game. Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands for the Xbox 360 receives a 4 out of 10.